there. Today we're going to work on our silhouette painting. So I just want to show you some examples. Sometimes I refer to this as the sunset painting or the Florida landscape painting. So this is a watercolor assignment, and as you can see, we've got a silhouette of the trees and we have the graded wash for the background and then for the water. So here's an example. Okay, here's another example. I always like to do this as a watercolor assignment because it's fun, it's easy, and it's mess-free. Okay, so the first thing that you want to do is you want to add water to all your colors. Okay, and then once you do that, what you're going to do is you are going to create a graded wash. So go ahead and take your brush with your water cup, and you're going to water the top part of your watercolor paper. Now, if you didn't purchase a mixed media sketchbook and you're doing this on regular paper, you're going to notice right away that you don't have the right kind of paper. Okay, so you need watercolor paper or the mixed media. So what you're going to do next is, once you have this nice and wet, you don't want it to be soaked, but you want it to have like a nice little curve that it's doing. You're going to create a graded wash. So go ahead and take your purple and you're going to drop your purple in the top. Now, one thing that's really cool about watercolor is you don't need a lot of pigment or paint. You can just use very little. Make sure that you're going from edge to edge and that you're going from left to right. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is I want to do right here. So take your water and continue the water going down for a couple inches. Okay, and then you want to add red. Okay, now I'm actually dipping my brush into the pigment, and then I'm putting it on the paper, and then I'm also adding water. Left to right, all the way across your page. And then from here to here, we're going to do the same thing. Take water. Okay, and then you're going to add orange. Okay, left to right. Okay, and then the next section we're going to add in our yellow. So you're going to add more water to your paper. Okay, and you want the yellow to be nice and bright at the bottom. Okay, also you want a nice straight line. That way you have a nice horizon line. Okay, so once you have a nice straight horizon line for your yellow, what you want to do is you want to start blending some of these colors together. So you're going to put some purple in your reds or in your pinks. Okay, and then put some reds in your oranges. Put some oranges in your yellows. Okay, and when you're doing this, you don't want very straight lines. You don't want it to be very geometric. You want it to be kind of like a sky where it's got a lot of different colors in different areas. Okay, and I want to make the top of my paper a little bit more purple. Okay, and it's actually okay if you've got some white areas, because you'll see those white areas in a real sunset. Okay, and then once you feel pretty good about your sky, just leave it alone and let it dry. Okay, so once your paper is dry, okay, and it really has to be dry, what you're gonna do is you're gonna now paint the ocean. So if you look, you want a nice, crisp, clean line for your horizon line, which is the line where the earth meets the sky, okay? And technically, your ocean is a darker version of your sky colors. Okay, so when we start, we're gonna start with our purple. Okay, and then what I'm doing is I'm just gonna use more paint than water, because I want to make sure that I have a nice, crisp, clean line. And I'm just going to drag it all the way. If it helps, you can use a ruler. It's up to you. Okay, and then from here, you're going to just use water to kind of blend that line that you created. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and add purple to most of my water. Okay, and then what you want to do is you want to do a little bit of negative painting. So you just take your brush with just some water, and what you want to do is you want to take out some of the paint for the reflection of the sky. You don't want to do too much though. Okay, and then with negative painting, I'm just pulling it out with my brush. I have a dry brush. Okay, and then I'm going to add some red. Don't go crazy with the red. Okay, and you want to leave some of that area for your reflection. Okay, notice I'm just doing like little streaks. Okay, and then I want to get a little bit darker. Okay, and then for this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add just a little bit of blue. Okay, and I'm just gonna darken it just a little bit more with some more purple. Okay, leave some streaks, especially in the center for the sun. Okay, and I'm just gonna add a little bit more red. All right, and then when you're happy with it, you can start on the clouds. Okay, so whenever I'm doing the clouds, I want to pick lighter spots in here. So what I'm doing is I'm just getting water, okay, and I am just leaving it on the paper. Okay, and then with your paper towel, what you can do, make sure that your paper towel is nice and clean, is you can just kind of pull some of this paint up. Okay, and then it's going to become lighter. Okay, and then what I do is at the bottom, I add more water. Okay, and then I'll just add just a touch of purple. Okay, just a little bit. Okay, and then what I'm going to do with my brush is I just want to dot it just a little bit. Okay, and then just take some water, blend it a little bit more in there. And you want your clouds to dry. Okay, now this next part, you either need to just wait till your paper's totally dry, or if you're really rushing, take it to a blow dryer and dry it with your blow dryer. Okay, so what you're gonna do is you're going to now use black. You're gonna create the silhouette part. So make sure that you're wetting your black, and you wanna create like a little island. So I'll just show you one that I've had created in the past. Okay, it's just like a little hump with the trees. Okay, and actually the more messy it kind of is, the more realistic it looks. So it's okay if it's not perfectly symmetrical. Okay, if it's a little jagged, it looks actually more realistic. Now this is important that you don't use too much paint. You do want to fill it in, you want it to be very opaque, but at the same time, sometimes when you use a lot of heavy watercolor, it'll get shiny, and you don't want it to be too thick on your paper. Okay, again, you want it to be opaque. Make sure that you're getting the edges. You don't want to see the water through your little island. Okay, so now you're going to create the stems of the trunk. So you want to have a dry brush. Okay, and they go from thick to thin. Okay, and actually, don't make them perfectly straight, because then they'll look a little odd. You want them to be a little funky. Okay, and to get smaller, what I do is I lift up with my brush and I start using the point. Okay, and I'm actually going to end this one here, and I'm going to make this a frond. Okay, so now for the fronds, this is where it gets tricky. Okay, so you're either, if you found that you're pretty good using your brush, you can just use the point for this. Now if you want, you can also use a smaller brush, a small detail round will work for this. So now what you're going to do is you're going to create kind of like spiders. Okay, you want to make sure that your brush is pretty dry for this. Okay, and I'm actually going to switch brushes and I'm going to use a detail round. Okay, in the fronds, you're just doing quick motions down. Now, if you've never created fronds before, I recommend practicing on a separate sheet of paper, because it can get a little tricky. You also don't want to use little fronds on both sides. Okay, and you're using the point. All right, and then one thing that you probably want to do, depending, is if this kind of dried where it's not opaque and you're still seeing the water in the background, just add a little bit more black. Okay, the last thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to add a bit of grass. So I'm going to do the same thing that I did for my fronds. Okay, but I don't want to do it everywhere. All right, and that's our silhouette painting. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you liked this video and want to see some of my other videos, subscribe to the channel. All right, guys, have a great day.